as we, of course, reported the news that 4 members of Vaughan Gething's cabinet had resigned en masse in unison earlier today. And we now just have a statement from the First Minister of Wales, Vaughan Gething, saying, "I have this morning taken the difficult decision to begin the process of stepping down as leader of the Welsh Labour Party and, as a result, as First Minister." Let's bring in Sky's Dan Whitehead, who is in Cardiff for us this morning. Dan, the critical factor, clearly, that pushed him over the line, there's been pressure on him for some weeks, of course, was seemingly 4 members of his cabinet forcing his hand by resigning themselves earlier today.
Yeah, that news of 4 of his cabinet ministers resigning this morning really made the position for Vaughan Gething untenable. And the breaking news in the last few minutes is that the First Minister has resigned. You brought some of his letter there. Let me just bring you a little bit more. Vaughan Gething saying, "Having been elected as leader of my party in March, I had hoped that over the summer a period of reflection, rebuilding and renewal could take place under my leadership. I recognise now that that is not possible. It's been the honour of my life to do this job, even for a few short months, to see the dedication of public service from our civil service and the dedication of civility from the Welsh public." The letter goes on paying tribute to the Welsh public and the communities who he has served. And he says, "I wanted to give power to those without a voice. That has always been my motivation. This has been the most difficult time for me and my family." So Vaughan Gething, in the last couple of seconds, standing down, he says he will discuss a timetable for the election of a new leader of my party. And he says, "I want to finally thank you say thank you to those who have reached out to support me and my teams." Let me just let's just take a step back and explain how we got to this point. Firstly, over the last 6 months, Vaughan Gething has faced a lot of pressure, mainly because of a donation which he received for £200,000 for his leadership campaign. It came from an environmental company in Wales, which the owner had criminal convictions for environmental breaches. There was a lot of controversy surrounding that donation. That led to a vote of no confidence here in the Senate last month, in which he lost. The pressure on Vaughan Gething has significantly ramped up in the last sort of 7 to 10 days, and that is all surrounding the sacking by Vaughan Gething of a former Welsh minister, Hannah Blythen. He sacked her because he accused Hannah Blythen of being a leak to the press over iMessages relating to the COVID pandemic, messages that had shown Vaughan Gething allegedly saying he would delete some of his messages because they could be obtained under freedom of information. Those messages got to the press. Vaughan Gething said it was Hannah Blythen. She has vehemently denied that she was the leak and the source ever since this happened. And tomorrow in the Senate, the Welsh Tories had brought forward a motion, a vote in the Senate, to compel Vaughan Gething to release the evidence. Why did you sack Hannah Blythen? If you're so confident and you say you've got the evidence, let us see it, because it's never been published. A couple of days ago, a news website in Wales, Nation Cymru, which published that story, came out and said that Hannah Blythen wasn't the source. So this pressure has been ramping up over the last sort of 72 hours or so, and it's come to a head this morning with the news that 4 cabinet ministers for the Welsh government have resigned. So Jeremy Miles, who was the economy minister, Leslie Griffiths, who was the culture minister, Julie James, climate, and Mick Anthony, who is the Counsel General for the Welsh Government, have all stood down. So 4 really big cabinet positions in the Welsh Government, they all quit. And I'd say it's taken, about 2 hours now for that pressure to really sink through. And clearly Vaughan Gething has realised that he simply had no way of keeping hold of his job. So he now has announced in this letter, which we've just obtained, that he is going to stand down as First Minister of Wales, and that there will be a timetable for a new leader to be put in place. This is extremely significant news because, of course, nationally this comes off the back of the general election where we saw Keir Starmer, the new Prime Minister, campaigning a few times alongside the Labour leader here, Vaughan Gething, saying that they will be united in working together to strengthen Labour, the first time that they've been in power on either end of the Severn Bridge for the first time in 14 years. And we saw the Tories completely wiped out here in Wales. Well, here we have the Labour leader having to resign. Let me bring you a response from the Tory leader here in Wales, Andrew Davies. He said that Vaughan Gething's time as First Minister is rightly coming to an end. This statement came before he actually resigned. Labour cannot fool the people of Wales. These ministers, like Jeremy Miles, who's just quit this morning, they sat in his cabinet, they stood by his side, and they're culpable for the breakdown of governance in Wales. Wales will remember. The writing really was on the wall for Vaughan Gething after he lost the vote of confidence in the Senate last month, because he, as I say, didn't have the vote of the Parliament behind me here. It would have been incredibly difficult for him to pass his budget, to get things through. And he only lost that vote of confidence on a narrow margin. It's because two of his own Labour ministers didn't turn up, and one of them was Hannah Blythen, who he'd sacked. So it wasn't particularly surprising. So it's all come to a head, and what is going to be really interesting is that at 1:30 it's FMQs here. We're going to see the First Minister stand up in the Senate behind me just a few hours after he has resigned. That is going to be something to watch. But the breaking news here in Wales this afternoon is that Vaughan Gething has announced his resignation and is standing down as First Minister. And as I say, he has said in that letter that he will discuss a timetable for the election of a new leader of his party.